when many times we've had ice and snow that were almost undoable. So we're grateful for the good start into 2019. We pray tonight for those who are much less fortunate in parts of our nation, east and west, from fires and mudslides and winter storms and floods. We just continue to pray for our fellow Americans on both sides of our nation and in the Gulf, that you'll be with them to help them in long, enduring recoveries. We're grateful to live where we live and when we live, and we're thankful for those that serve us in this city community. I want to continue to pray for our mayor and council persons, administrators, those that lead departments, and every person who serves this city at every level. And especially do I pray in such turbulent times for the perpetual safety of our firefighters and police officers when so many are meeting with travail across our nation and our world. For those, Lord, under the mantra of the city work and service, I continue to pray, Lord, for Mayor Benton, Mr. Moore, Chief Myers, Mr. Chiland, Mr. and Mrs. Reclue. I want to pray, Lord, too, for Pat Kofelt and any other family members that are a part of the city. Bless this session tonight and those that participate, and it is our prayer that the discussions that are held and the work that's done here tonight will be pleasing to you. Until we meet again, we all agree upon this and pray together in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, and pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the beginning of each council meeting, we always begin with a time for comments from visitors, or anyone within the community or in Callaway County, anyone who has something they'd like to share with the council. We invite you to come forward, and please just limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes, and of which the clerk will help you stay in that time frame, and give us your name and your address. So at this time, I invite anyone who has something they'd like to share with council to come forward. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. My name is Mike West, 1740 Ashley Court. I call Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, visitors. I rise today to, first of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your nearly 8 years of service as mayor, and I don't know how many years as city council before that. And I understand you're retiring at this time, or at the end of this term, and so I'm announcing my candidacy for mayor of the city of Fulton.
Very good. Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Is anyone else who would like to share an item with the city council? Seeing no one else coming forward, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is an agenda that allows us to consolidate several items that, on an agenda that are typically items that the council can approve in a rapid succession. However, I noticed on this consent agenda we only have one item, and that's a request from the YMCA for an annual hot cocoa hustle 5K on Saturday, January 19th. I could do the hot cocoa. I don't know about the hustle. So at this point, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I give a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Very good. Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good. Thank you. We've like we have no new business or old business. And so we'll move on to council concerns at this point. I'm going to skip the public hearings because we'll wait until 7 o'clock to do those. If this is a time for council to bring forward any item they'd like to discuss that is not already on the agenda. So let me just ask for a raise, Mr. Shiloh.
You know, one thing I never have thought about asking about, but I'd like to see some coat racks hung around here for us guys.
Okay.
Where, I don't know. That's why I'm passing it to you guys.
Some what?
Coat racks.
Coat racks.
Hangers.
Coats, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I have.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
Coat rack. Coat rack.
Coat rack. Oh, okay. Thank you. I think there's some in the executive council room, and you have to just open up.
Yeah, there's a closet in there with hangers.
Right here?
Yeah. But, yeah. Anybody else have something? Ballard, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Mr. Stone, I see your hand.
Yeah.
Ms.
Two items. I want to repeat an item that was brought up at the last council meeting, and it's concerning the sidewalk between Collier Lane and Westminster Avenue. It was discussed that we had looked into about a $500,000 grant to actually expand that street and put in sidewalk and stormwater drainage, and I understand this evening I was told that the city did not receive that grant. But right now, from stem to stern, you can walk on a sidewalk from Tractor Supply all the way to Tennyson Road throughout the entire town, except for that stretch between Collier and Westminster Avenue. It's very close to Bartley School. It's very close to residential, many different businesses, and there's many times where we see folks in wheelchairs and motorized scooters having to get onto the road in order to get from sidewalk to sidewalk. And so I would like for us to, even though we did not get the grant, I believe that that should be a priority for the city to find the funding for that piece of sidewalk and drainage.
Thank you.
And then the other item that's been brought up is that it's, and I understand it's still part of the construction and still underway, but the timing of the stoplights at right here at 4th Street, 5th Street, and the corner at 8th Street seem to be, some sides seem to be longer than others. Some parts of the intersection seem to not be timed off with the rest of them. And I'm not saying that they all need to be, that they should be timed together. I know that's not the intent. But if you're coming from the south going north here at 4th Street, it seems like you wait twice as long as you do if you're coming from the north trying to go south at this same intersection. Yeah. Is the complaints that I've gotten from some of the citizens.
Sure.
And that's it, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Mary?
No.
I jumped over you, Ballard?
No.
Well, just since Jeff brought up something, I know I had talked to Kyle a while ago about Collier Lane and that new subdivision going in, and about the possible problems of traffic at Collier and Business 54. I mean, what Jeff is suggesting and what I had suggested, whether it be a roundabout or a light or whatever, could be rolled together. But once we get that new subdivision in, that area is going to be a mess. So this is another item in the hat that
Sure.
might help.
Okay.
Depending upon the distance, also that subdivision may be less than 1 mile to Bartley School, which puts them walking rather than a bus route.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. How about this side?
I have a little bit, I have one thing for sure, and it kind of goes with what Jeff says. I have a little bit different opinion on what it is, and it's got to do with the stoplights and the sensors in the road. The lines are beyond where the sensors are, so the car is not maybe in the right spot to be triggering the light. Am I wrong? Kyle, can you help me with that?
Well, I agree with you that on 10th and Bluff, because the seniors don't pull up to the little white line. We sit there through 2 stoplights and just watching them go on 54.
And if you sit back actually on the grid, then it picks it up.
Right up here at 4th and 5th, really all these traffic lights through here are still working off of a timed situation and not off the loops that are in the ground. I know right there at 5th Street, there's an issue with one of those loops being installed in the asphalt there that has to be fixed. So that's going to be on that timed operation for a good while, really until the spring probably, which is unfortunate. But I definitely know that there are some issues. We've been up there tinkering, I would say, but the traffic light at 4th and 5th are actually controlled by the same controller right there in mid block, and so during weekend time, it's on a different time setting than it is during the week, and so each week we have to go up there and make sure that we change the timing of that and basically fake out the system so it thinks that it's during the week when it should be. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
yes,
They're still messed up.
it's still not right, but that's okay.
it's not right. But we're
It's
gonna
work
probably
in
have to tolerate
progress.
it for
That's
a while longer.
And then the second thing I had, Mr. Mayor, and it's, if I hear it once a week, I hear it 10 times a week. 6th Street, the house on 6th Street. We have the gentleman has been seen staying there again, and updates.
We talked with the city attorney, Mr. Riley. Was it last Friday? I believe last Thursday or Friday.
Way before that too, but.
Well, before that, and we are proceeding with going to trial with that situation. So we're just waiting to hear back from him at this point.
So it's going to trial.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any idea time frame?
We did not discuss time frame. But what we wanted to do was get permission from since it's already kind of in court, but it never went to trial, we asked for us to be able to get a third-party inspector to go in and make some rulings on the property as far as the health and safety. And we were not allowed to do that, so we're proceeding with trial.
Was I mistaken by the building was uninhabitable and he should not be staying there?
You are correct.
Yes. So when the little red car is sitting there and it's the middle of the night, that's a pretty good indication that he's there.
John, nobody's arguing with you.
Well,
but it gets down to, so how do you get him out? So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is going to go to trial. Depending on the outcome of the trial, then it may turn over to Steve Myers and company, going and visiting and writing tickets, writing citations.
Yeah. Well, I know this might sound like a weird question. So during that time, if we're not allowed to have a third-party inspector and they're going to let them live in it, can the city not be required to be responsible for anything that might happen to him in his condemned property?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we have any additional responsibility or liability with it.
Yeah, but you know how our court system is.
Might want to check with our.
I mean, the building's still posted, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's still posted.
Yeah, it's
Except
posted,
where he
but he's
pulls
living
down.
there. But he's living there.
Start hitting him with a fine. Per our ordinance, every day it goes onto his tax record. I mean, for not having it cleaned up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard, do you have anything?
I
do have a couple of things. The zoning commission draft that we got, there are several things in there that I'd like to discuss. Is that going to be brought up at some time for us to approve that draft or approve what they did or doing
So
with
those draft minutes that
with the changes on like the tiny house and this and that?
Yes.
Those draft minutes, the minutes themselves will be approved by the Planning Commission, but the tiny house issue and the C3 issue will be on the next agenda.
Okay.
Is that it?
I also have a question for Kyle. The speed limit sign that you put out on Herring Drive, I think, I'm not sure how good it'll do when it's down, but it's definitely slowed some people down. I mean, I personally can see it from sitting at the kitchen table in the mornings, and I can see the sign, and people slow down when they see the thing starting to flash. Then you can see their speed drop. It does a good. I mean, I think it's worked for what purpose we tried to do it for. When was you planning on moving it up to Park Ridge?
Actually, Bill and I were talking about that today. That you know, the last meeting you mentioned both, and
yes.
So I figured that you might bring that up today, and
yeah.
we can move it up there. And you know, you want it going towards as you're going towards Business 54.
Eastbound or westbound?
You know, I don't know up there, Bill. I know a lot of people that have complained to me live on the west end of it, so.
Me as well.
I mean, most of the complaints I get are from people that live west of Kingswood.
So you want it westbound?
I guess. I mean, I really don't know.
That's an easy
It's just
answer
that they're the people that's complained,
there's
so
polls.
I would think probably it would be better set it on the west.
Well, we can set it as you're going westbound. So,
yeah.
So westbound traffic.
Yeah, and put it west of Kingswood someplace, far enough away from the intersection.
Yeah.
That, you know, they can pick up speed and know they're.
Well, that's the easy answer for me because there's poles up there that can be utilized potentially for it, other than having to call dig right and put a pole in the ground.
No, that's fine. That'd be fine. And I appreciate you putting it up there. I think it has helped, and one of the hot rodders moved out of the neighborhood, so that helped too. So.
Yeah. Kyle?
The other thing, Kyle, I mean,
if I could ask a question, go ahead.
The other thing about Park Ridge there is a lot of traffic coming through off of Rice Road, just cutting through. Why they would do it, I don't know. Makes no sense to me. It almost doubles their miles, but I have heard that from many people in the neighborhood as well, that cutting through, the through traffic is horrible. I don't live on Park Ridge, so I don't see it, but I'd like to block it off.
If I recall, that sign has a statistic portion to it.
Yes, it does.
Are we getting those readouts or those reports? Or
yeah, we can.
Could we have maybe one or two available for the council to see?
I'd like to see that myself.
Yep, sure can. And tomorrow will be a good time to do it while we're moving it. We'll download it, and then that way we know where it was when. So.
Yeah.
I think that'd give us a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kyle.
Mr. Moore.
I only have the one about the Bluff Street. That's all. I still getting complaints about on Jefferson Street for landlords, and I hate to always pick on the same house, but it is a rental property, I guess, on the corner of Jefferson and A. That if your tenants move out, why does the rest of the neighbors have to suffer all the trash that they pile up in the front yard and on the sidewalk and part of the street? I believe last year, JC, you ordered him to pick it up for us, but just last week, if you would have drove by there, and I meant to take a picture, it's just like, I cannot believe that anyone had that much cardboard and boxes and trash. And the neighbor says, why do we have to suffer for days? That why can't they have so many days to call for a special pickup and have it picked up?
I went by there and I called Wendy about it. I think that was I called her on Thursday morning, and their pickup was on Friday, and they did have a special pickup, and I don't know why they put it out. It had to be out Wednesday sometime, but she knew about it, and their pickup was on Friday.
Well, you know.
So is it still there, Steve?
No, it was picked up on Friday afternoon. I think they got it.
I mean, Wendy said they called for a special pickup, but it was out there well before Friday.
It started on the porch, and then it came out to the end, and which it was so much trash that it took apart the sidewalk, the end of the sidewalk, and a part of the street. I mean, you know, and then that's that one, and then my other one is I had called to the warehouse about a week and a half ago. I'm still getting complaints from people wanting their street lights fixed at the corner of 9th and Jefferson by the little church in that yellow house there.
The street light, you say?
Mm-hmm. Okay. You know what that burned out house is that we don't want to bring up tonight? We're going to give them a break. That little church that sits on the corner. There's one out right there, and then the yellow house on the other side. There's one out on that corner too. So it's dark up there, and they have church on Wednesday. And
anything else?
That's
okay. Mr. Rick.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I'm being a little selfish, especially seeing as I just got them. But I'd like to look again at the petitions and for re-election and possibly look at changing that. Maybe we can put it on the agenda. Also, our terms, I'd like to look at possibly increasing that to 4 years again, like we discussed. Maybe we can put it on the agenda and discuss it.
Okay. Very good.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry, Mary, I missed you.
Oh, have you finished? I do have a question or two for Chief of Police, if I could have him come up.
Mr. Chief?
Steve? Mr. Chief?
Of Police?
Mr.
Sorry,
Chief
I forgot
of
we had
Police.
two.
We got a few minutes yet. I have a couple questions. How many police vehicles do we have right now? They're all running. They're all, how many do we have?
I wasn't there this afternoon, so I'm not sure. Probably about 5.
Okay, and altogether we have how many? Is there more? We have 6. How many do we really have?
We have one with a transmission problem.
Okay.
They're just small. They aren't small issues, but they're typical.
So we have 6 all total. Is that what we have?
We're in the process, yes.
Okay. And now we're arguing one this year. Another one ordered
2
this year. 2 this year.
We get 2 this year.
So we are going to get 2. Okay, so that's in the process too, getting them ordered.
Not yet for 2019, but yes, it'll.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're in the budget.
They're in the budget.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was just one. Also, on the front of them, they've got that black rack or whatever on the front of some of the cars, and some don't.
Some of them do.
Yeah. Is there a reason that they don't have them, or are they for safety reasons? Or I just noticed that some don't. I don't know what that means.
The newest ones we have, we had them on all of our vehicles.
That's what I thought.
The newest ones, they didn't fit. We have to get some extra parts for them to fit.
Okay. Are those a safety thing on there?
It's a push bar. If a car is stalled or something, they can go behind the car and push.
Okay.
Yeah, and we started getting those probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, I noticed that some don't have them now.
When a car is stalled in an intersection, we were having officers push them out physically, and we were having back strains and knees, and so we started getting. But there's some on every shift, though.
Okay, good. Well, that's all. I just kind of went. Thank you very much. Okay. All right.
Mini Coopers, huh?
Very good. Did you get finished? You said you had
Yes, I'm done. That was it.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move on. We can at least get one resolution in, I think. All right. Let's consider Resolution 3325, which is a agreement between the city of Fulton and Socket Telecom. Councilman Braun, would you please present resolution 3325?
Resolution 3325, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relationship to the services exchange agreement between the city and Socket Telecom LLC and establish an effective date. I make a motion that we move to second reading at our next scheduled meeting.
It'll actually be for adoption tonight.
Okay.
But I knew that's what you meant.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's good.
Very good. I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve resolution 3325. Is there any further discussion of the motion? Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Thank you. Let's move on real quickly to resolution 3326, which is a resolution that approves a contract between the city and Tyler Technologies. Councilman Shiverdecker, would you please present 3326 for approval?
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3326, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to the contract between the city and Tyler Technologies Incorporated and establishing an effective date. Make a motion to adopt 3326 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Good. Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 3326. Is there any further discussion or questions on this?
I have a question. Was this planned in or is this new, something just come up?
It was actually in the 2018 budget as well, and the development of the RFP and the interview process and the selection took longer than we were able to get done in 2018, so we actually also included it again in 2019.
Okay. Thank you.
Been a lot of work going on. Anybody else?
Total cost?
300,000.
So we had 318 and then all of the money that we had for computer updates in 19.
It was split up amongst all the departments. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing no further questions or comments, we'll now call for the question. All those in favor of approving resolution 3326, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good. Yeses have it, and resolution 3326 is approved. Okay. Let's take a couple deep breaths, and it'll be 7 o'clock here pretty shortly. In about a minute, I think. Although a minute gets pretty long. Then we'll move on into, if you need to stand up.
Kathy, 300's right. It's the generic number. Missouri's losing. Missouri 31, Tennessee 42. Robert, you better take a couple.
Their minutes start on 28.
Oh, Kyle better get one. There you go.
The minutes start on page 28 of our packet.
Page 28? Because I've read them.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
I got a hard copy. I was having trouble. I got a hold of it. I managed to get on.
Yep.
Read what I could read.
Pleased with the changes I made to the.
I have a real quick question. I have a real quick question. When we start, I have a quick question before you start the hearing.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Well, let's go ahead. We're still in session. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Vaughn is recognized.
John asked that question just a minute ago about the technology, and maybe I didn't understand. We had 300,000 in 18 budget,
In 19.
and another 300. So was 600,000?
No.
It doesn't carry over.
Oh, okay. So
we
it's
have
just
to redo
so it's
it.
just a 300.
That's right. Yeah. I'm not. What did the bid actually come in at? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we chose them by their abilities and how well we thought they'd do.
Yeah. Well, I was confused about the price.
Yes,
I didn't.
no.
I got thinking, well, maybe you meant 600,000.
I understand. No, you have to start all over.
Okay.
Your budget only lasts 12 months.
Right.
If you don't spend it, it's gone.
Okay.
Okay. This evening we have 3 public hearings on zoning issues, and we will do a hearing for each one. Our first proposed zoning is a tract of land located at East 8th and State Street, the old shoe factory site here in Fulton, and from its current zoning of M2, which is a planned industrial, to R2, which is residential. This will take it back to the type of zoning that the rest of the park fits into, and of course we have in mind the Parks and Rec recreation facility. The format for the hearing will be as follows. There will be 3 calls for anyone who's interested in speaking in opposition of the matter of this rezoning, and then I'll make 3 calls for anyone who'd like to speak in support of the rezoning. So at this time, I declare the hearing open if I haven't done that already. I'll begin. The first call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning from R industrial to R2? Seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue the second call. Is anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of the proposed rezoning? Again, seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue the third call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? Very good. Again, no one's coming forward. I'll now issue 3 calls for anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Again, seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue the second call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Again, no one coming forward. I'll issue the third and final call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Very good. I'll now declare this public hearing closed, and we'll move on to our second hearing, which is to consider a tract of land located at West 13th Street and Westminster Avenue in Fulton, Missouri, from its current zoning of M1 industrial to R3 residential. Again, the same format as hearing 1, 3 calls. And first 3 will be for those in opposition, second 3 for those in favor. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? Seeing no one coming forward, second call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to this proposed rezoning? Again, no one coming forward. Third call and final call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? Very good, thank you. Now issue 3 calls for anyone talking in favor. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? First call. No one coming forward. Second call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Again, no one coming forward. The third and final call is issued. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Again, no activity. This public hearing is now declared closed. I now open the public hearing for our hearing number 3, which is a rezoning for a tract of land located at Martin Luther King Drive and North Hospital Drive in Fulton, from its current zoning of C3 commercial to C2 commercial. Again, same format will be followed. 3 calls for anyone speaking in opposition and 3 calls for anyone speaking in favor. First call, is anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? Excuse me, seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue the second call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? Again, no one coming forward. Third and final call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this proposed rezoning? I will now issue 3 calls for anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the rezoning. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Seeing no one coming forward. Second call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? And again, no one coming forward. Third and final call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed rezoning? Very good. I'll now declare this hearing closed, and we'll move back to our agenda. Very good. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we've done the resolutions, so we'll flip over to ordinances. We'll consider first reading ordinances. Bill number 1525 is an ordinance declaring city property surplus and establish effective date. Councilman Vaughn, would you please present Bill 1525 by title only, first reading.
Bill number 1525, an ordinance declaring city property to be surplus property, authorized its sale, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place Bill 1525 for second reading at the next scheduled meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion and a second to advance Bill number 1525 second reading. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of advancing 1525, please signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Yeses have it. Bill 1525 will advance. We'll now consider Bill number 1526, which is an ordinance that changes the zoning for a property located at 8th and State Street, which we just had a hearing on. Again, Councilman Moore, would you please present 1526 first reading, title only.
Bill number 1526, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance a tract of land located at East A Street and State Street, the old shoe factory site in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I move this for second reading by title only at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Next meeting. Okay. Very good. I have a motion and a second to advance 1526. Is there anyone who'd like to speak about this one?
Yeah, after some discussion, motion was offered by Les Hudson and seconded by Ronald Danny to approve the zoning change requests made for the tract of land located at East A Street and to recommend passage by the City Council. Roll call vote of members of the commission were as follows. Pat Kelly, yes. Ken McSwain, yes. Joan Barry Morris, yes. Ronald Danny, yes. Jeremy Washington, no. Lou Beatty, yes. Mike Eibel, yes. And Les Hudson, yes. Motion carried with 7 members of the commission voting in favor and 1 member Washington opposed.
Thank you, Dennis. Any further discussion?
I have one. Did the person who voted no give a reason?
He actually recanted it later on.
Recanted it later.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Thank you.
I have no problem or issue rezoning it for our rec center because I know that's where it's going. But I have a tough time understanding the zoning breakdowns. Under R2, it says any permitted use of an R1 district, 2 family dwellings, a row house and townhouses, religious, educational institutions, nurseries, preschools, kindergartens, dance. I don't see anything in there that talks about the rec center.
In the R2, in the government buildings? In R2?
Not on what I'm looking at here, Dennis. I mean,
let me grab. But if you go back to R1, it says government buildings. So it includes that. So what we were doing was matching what the park was, which was R2. Now I can't answer why the park was designated R2. But that's what we were, this piece set within the park parcel. So we were just zoning it the same. And anything in R1 is allowed in R2. So that's where we got the government buildings.
anything in R2 is allowed in R1, not R1 to R2, correct?
No.
R1 to R2. So you can, if it's R1, you can't build a duplex. R1, you can build a single family dwelling. R1 carries to R2, R1 and 2 carries on to over to R3.
And then to 3.
And then all of that carries to C1 all the way up to C2. So we were just basically, the park is R2, and for some reason where that shoe factory was M1 because of the shoe factory, and we're just,
like
we're cleaning that up.
I'm not opposed to whatever we have to do to have the rec center, but not understanding that, so thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Dennis is going to be working, well, we're going to try and see if Ashland, the Regional Planning Commission, can take on a project to look at our zoning code and the zoning that we have throughout the town to try to take the confusion away from it.
I think that would be very good.
It hasn't been looked at as a big picture since, I believe, 1980.
Yeah.
Who?
Good idea.
Who did you say?
The Regional Planning Commission in Ashland.
Oh, okay.
They're going to take a look at our zoning map of the city and our Appendix A zoning ordinances and regulations, and just to see, bring them up to date, suggestions maybe on what we can do to bring them up to date.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah,
Well, because I was going to even ask before the night's end
Tales of this thing.
whether we could even have a work session on this.
Yeah.
Because there's some things in there, but you did explain that next meeting there would be the tiny houses and C3 would be on the next meetings.
Okay. Let's get back to the motion that's on the floor.
Okay.
There's not any further discussion on the motion. All those in favor of advancing 1526, please signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good, thank you. We'll now consider bill number 1527, which is a ordinance rezoning an area located at West 13th Street and Westminster Avenue, which again we had a hearing just previously on. Councilman Simmons, would you please present 1527, first reading, title only?
Yes, sir. Bill number 1527, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance a tract of land located at West 13th Street and Westminster Avenue in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion we approve the first reading of this bill and advance it to second reading at the next scheduled meeting.
Second.
Okay. Very good. Yes.
After some discussion, motion was offered by Les Hudson and seconded by Mike Eibel to approve the zoning change request made for the tract of land located at Westminster Avenue and to recommend passage by the City Council. Roll call vote of members of the commission were as follows. Les Hudson, yes. Pat Kelly, yes. Ken McSwain, yes. Joan Barry Morris, yes. Ronald Danny, yes. Jeremy Washington, yes. Louis Beatty, yes. Mike Eibel, yes. And motion carried with all 8 members of the commission voting in favor.
Very good, thank you. Is there any other discussion or questions?
Yes. If you go on down the minutes, there was some discussion about the land there, and it was stated that at this time, there's not aware of any development. But I thought when we were asked to make that surplus property, that we had somebody interested in building some single-family dwelling
We did have
houses on that land, but the zoning commission wasn't told that.
at the time that it was formulated for the rezoning, there was a developer from Columbia that had shown some interest. So as part of working with that developer to get out of his way, it was scheduled for a public hearing. So we began the process of taking it to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and since that time, I'm not going to say the developer has lost interest, but has shown no additional interest.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have a question or on the motion on the floor?
The other thing that I do have one other question about that piece of property. At one time, when we were in the process of building the warehouse and all that, I thought there was a problem with this piece of property about some high voltage lines or something going in there to keep something from being even built in that area.
Well, where we built the warehouse now, the property that we're zoning tonight would be the property between the new warehouse and Westminster Avenue, the vacant property, okay? Mm-hmm. Right as a kind of dividing line between those two pieces of property is an 8-inch, 300-pound gas line.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
So there's approximately, help me, Kyle, was it 7 or 8 acres on the east side of the gas line? But then this property also wraps around in behind kind of the armory and the housing authority.
So this section that he isn't involved in the 8-inch gas line.
It's east of it, I believe.
It's probably on that property, but the developable land would be east of that, between the gas line and Westminster Avenue.
That's what I was talking about. Okay. So the gas line's out of that.
Yes.
Okay. That was my only concern. I thought I remembered something about that piece of property.
Very good. Good memory. Okay.
If we don't have, Mr. Mayor, if we have no one interested at this point, would there really be a reason to rezone it at this particular moment when maybe we have somebody come in that wants to do something industrial?
looking at the property, there's residential on 3 sides of that piece of property that butts to Westminster. So whenever they cut that piece out, I mean, you have residential to the north, and then you do have the stables, the college stables, but there are residential houses on the east side, and then you have that residential house on the south side. So would industrial fit right there? I mean,
It was all industrial at one point.
Those are things you'll have to take into consideration in your vote. Anybody else have anything? Okay. If there's no anything else, I'll call for the question on 1527. All those in favor of advancing 1527, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no.
No.
Very good. Thank you. Let's move on now to bill number 1528, which is an ordinance rezoning an area that's located at Martin Luther King Drive and North Hospital Drive. Councilwoman Reclue, would you please present 1528 for first reading, title only?
Yes. Bill number 1528, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance a tract of land located at Martin Luther King Drive and north of Hospital Drive in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion that we place bill number 1528 at our next scheduled meeting for second reading.
Second.
Thank you.
Very good. Jenny, Dennis, please go ahead.
Motion was offered by Ken Swain and seconded by Ronald Danny to approve the zoning change request made for the tract of land located at Hospital Drive and to recommend passage by the City Council. Roll call vote of members of the commission were as follows. Mike Eibel, yes. Letts Hudson, yes. Pat Kelly, yes. Ken McSwain, yes. Joan Barry Morris, yes. Ronald Danny, yes. Jeremy Washington, yes. And Louis Beatty, yes. Motion carried with all 8 members of the commission voting in favor.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any further discussion or motion or questions on this motion?
Yes. I kind of got the same question again. I mean, we, looking at C2 to C3. I mean, you got a hospital sitting right in front of it, and you're going to build a hospital right behind it. I don't understand why it needs change. You got the same. It's on the same piece of property that the hospital is on now.
Residential care facility, I believe, is why it needs to be a C2 instead of C3.
C3 doesn't allow residential.
And neither Dennis nor I.
That's
not
going to be a residential
care center.
Yeah,
that's part of the.
It's going to be. I mean, it could be extended stay.
No. It's going to be a skilled nursing facility for people who are no longer part of the Department of Corrections.
No, that's not correct.
I think the big reason is the fact that the buyer requested from the seller to have it rezoned.
We were told they were going to be inmates that can't stay in the prison system now would be transferred to that facility.
They'll be paroled out of the Department of Corrections, and they'll reside at the residential care facility. They will no longer be inmates with Department of Correction. They'll be paroled. They'll be medically paroled, and they'll go to the residential care facility.
Okay.
And Mr. Vaughn, neither Dennis nor myself or anybody else, I think, would tell you that we agree with all of the historical zoning issues and construction.
Yeah, that's my point.
That has taken place in this community over the past 100 years.
And that they had 2 options, and they chose to have it rezoned on their application from C3 to C2. I mean, historically, there are hospitals there, and there's the
Churchill Terrace.
Yes.
Yes.
That was there. Now, that was before.
That was, because it's C3, and you're going right across the street.
I can't answer.
You're doing the same, exact same thing.
That was Danny Boy, I believe, that talked to us.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I'm not against the facility. I'm glad
we're just trying to play the best hand we're dealt.
Yeah. Okay.
This is one of the situations.
Yeah, I get it.
That we're going to have the regional planning commission look at our zoning.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no. Very good, thank you. Bill number 1528 advances for second reading. Now consider bill number 1529, which is an easement that that's been agreed to between the city, or we're asking for agreement between the city and a residential developer, G. Lewis LLC, for a golf cart easement. Please present 1529, title only, second reading, first reading, excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1529, an ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to the ingress and egress agreement between city and G. Lewis LLC, authorizing a golf course easement for residential development and establishing effective date. I move that we place bill number 1529 for second reading at the next scheduled city council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to advance 1529. Is there any further discussion or questions on this motion?
Yes, there is.
I recognize this side. Go ahead. Who wanted to talk?
Who wanted to talk? Go ahead if you get some.
Oh, I didn't have anything.
I've been talking all night. You know, I sat on that committee when we were dealing with Tanglewood about this same situation, that they couldn't control the golf carts coming out of Tanglewood and people going on the course and playing, and now we're going to turn around and do the same thing in the new subdivision. That doesn't make good sense.
I think you're always going to have, that's just going to be the nature of the brute.
Any golf carts that would utilize this location, this path, are basically going to, their first stop is the clubhouse. Whereas the way Tanglewood Estates is laid out, you can go out your back door and be on the golf course.
Well, this essentially will be the same thing, won't it? They can come down to the path and just get on the course.
Richard, I'm going to agree with you. It'll be close to the same thing, but different.
Yeah.
So I'm confused if Richard's done.
Go ahead. Who's
The only lake that I'm aware of is on number 12, and Skygo Farms is
right by the maintenance building.
No. One by the maintenance building.
Oh, that's the one you're talking about?
It's a retention pond more than a...
Okay. Okay.
Next, where the ambulance district is doing some construction.
Right.
It's proposed for some housing units to be constructed in that area. And they're looking at also building a golf cart storage facility and catering to the individual that wants to play golf and have a golf cart.
And they want a private access to the.
Well, they want to be able to get to the golf course, but not drive up on the road.
Right.
But they would still have to be charged the cart fee.
But that was the problem that we had with Tanglewood. They were bringing guests in with them, and they weren't paying.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, it's an issue that you can consider in your vote. Anything else?
I mean,
I think the house is
Honor system, I guess.
I guess so.
It's
But we complain about it not making money.
Well, but this developer's looking at doing. He has a very full map of ideas he wants to do out there in that the business park.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
may I make one quick comment going before we leave ordinances about the one on 13th Street for Mr. Braun that
We have a motion on the floor. Is this about the motion?
No, I thought we was done with this.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, we haven't voted on the motion yet. Okay, any other questions
That's
on
right,
the motion?
you came up with.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no.
No.
Very good. The yeses have it. Bill number 1529 will be advanced for next second reading next council meeting. Okay. Chair recognizes Mr. Moore.
Well, I can bring it up at the next, the second reading of it then, but I'll keep it to then.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna wait till next meeting.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Very good. Announcements, again, those are all there. Again, I think for the benefit of the public, candidate packets are still available. They have to be turned in by the 15th, January 15th. Please see the city clerk. I think the majority of you who know about the January 8th meeting in Columbia for the Central Division MML. Our next council meeting will be the 22nd, and the annual banquet will be the 24th. And please see the clerk if you have any questions or need something there. I do have a need for an executive session to discuss contract negotiations.
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Adjourn for that.
You have a
Second.
sorry, motion to adjourn to executive session and adjourn this meeting in a second.
Thank you. Is there a second to her motion?
There is.
Somebody second. You correct me, Mr. Johnson, but as far as I'm concerned, staff are excused. There will not be any decisions when we come back.
Okay. Well, before we do that, we're going to do a roll call real quick. So
Do
hang
the roll
tight.
call and let's do it.
All right, Mr. Shiland. Mr. Moore. Just a yes is
Yes.
good. Okay. That was a yes, Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
And Mr. Braun?